Here's a number that stopped me cold. The average dividend investor underperforms a simple index fund by about 1.5 to 2% every single year.
That might not sound like much, but over 30 years on a $200,000 portfolio, that gap costs you somewhere north of $300,000 gone.
And the wild part is the dividend investor feels like they're doing everything right the whole time. So today, I want to talk about something nobody in the dividend investing world really wants to admit out loud. There are hidden costs baked into the dividend strategy, costs that don't show up as a line item. They don't announce themselves, but quietly chip away at your wealth, decade after decade. I'm not here to tell you dividends are evil or that index funds are perfect. I'm here to show you the full picture. Because you deserve to make this decision with your eyes actually open. Let me introduce you to Marcus. Marcus lives in Columbus, Ohio. He's 44, drives a gray Honda Accord, works as a regional sales manager. About 8 years ago, he got serious about investing. He'd seen his dad lose a lot in the dot-com crash. So Marcus was not interested in speculation. He wanted stability. He wanted income he could see and touch. So he built himself a beautiful dividend portfolio. Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, Realty Income, a few utility companies. Felt solid, felt smart, felt safe. And here's the thing, Marcus isn't wrong to want those things. The desire for predictable income heading toward retirement is completely rational. Dividends feel real in a way that paper gains don't. When $340 hits your brokerage account on a Tuesday morning and you didn't do a single thing to earn it, that feels amazing. That feeling is real, and it matters. But feelings and math don't always agree. Let's start with the cost that nobody puts on the brochure, tax drag. In a taxable brokerage account, which is where most people hold their dividend stocks once they've maxed their IRA, dividends are taxed the year you receive them, every single one. Qualified dividends get taxed at 0, 15, or 20%, depending on your bracket. But index funds held in the same account, they can go years, sometimes an entire decade, without generating a meaningful taxable event. That gap in tax efficiency compounds silently, year after year. Imagine you're filling a bathtub. The index fund investor has a small drain, almost nothing leaking out. The dividend investor has a slightly bigger drain. Not huge, but it's always open. Turn on the faucet for 25 years and check both tubs. The difference in water level will shock you. Now let me give you the second hidden cost, and this one is sneakier: concentration risk. When people build dividend portfolios, real people, not finance textbook people, they tend to load up on the same categories. Utilities, consumer staples, REITs, financials. That's where the reliable dividends live. And that makes total sense on the surface. But what you've quietly done is built a portfolio that is heavily underexposed to growth. Marcus felt this personally. Between 2015 and 2021, the S&P 500 roughly doubled in value. Marcus's dividend portfolio, it grew, sure, but meaningfully slower. And the dividends he collected didn't make up the gap. He was trading long-term wealth accumulation for the feeling of monthly income during a phase of life when he actually didn't need monthly income yet. He was still working. He was still contributing. Here's the question I want you to sit with for a second. If you're still 10, 15, 20 years from retirement, who is the dividend income actually for right now? If the answer is, I just reinvest it anyway, then you're paying taxes on money you don't need yet, taking on concentration risk you don't need yet, and getting a psychological reward that comes with a real financial price tag. Now, I want to be fair here, because this is where a lot of dividend content gets lazy. They either demonize dividends entirely or treat index funds like they're perfect. Neither is true. Behavioral finance research is very clear on this. People who receive regular dividend income are significantly less likely to panic sell during a market crash. Think about March 2020. The S&P 500 dropped 34% in about 5 weeks. For an index fund investor, watching their balance go from $400,000 to $264,000, that is psychologically brutal. For a dividend investor whose portfolio dropped too, but whose quarterly checks kept arriving right on schedule, easier to hold, much easier. And if staying invested is worth even 1 or 2% better behavior annually, that's real money. Dividends in retirement also solve a genuine problem that index fund investors sometimes underestimate. It's called sequence of returns risk. Here's the nightmare scenario. You retire in September 2007. You've got $1.2 million in index funds. You start withdrawing 4% annually, $48,000 a year, to live on. Then the financial crisis hits. Your portfolio crashes to $660,000. And you're still selling shares to pay your mortgage. You're locking in losses at the absolute worst moment. Your money is running out faster than any spreadsheet projected. That scenario is real. A dividend-focused retiree in that same period, their Procter & Gamble, their Coca-Cola, their Johnson & Johnson, those companies kept paying. In fact, many dividend aristocrats maintained or increased their dividends right through 2008 and 2009. The income didn't stop. That is genuinely powerful. And it's the strongest argument in the dividend case. So where does this leave Marcus? And where does it leave you? Marcus actually made a change about 2 years ago. He didn't blow up his dividend portfolio. He didn't panic. He shifted his strategy, kept his dividend holdings inside his Roth IRA, where the tax drag disappears entirely, and started routing new contributions into a total market index fund. He essentially got both tax-efficient growth in his taxable account and income-producing stability in his retirement accounts, where dividends are actually sheltered. That hybrid approach isn't glamorous. There's no flashy label for it, but it reflects how most serious investors actually operate once they understand the real trade-offs. Here's my honest take after all of this. If you are young, still accumulating, and you're choosing dividend stocks in a taxable account because they feel safe, you might be paying a price you can't see yet. If you're approaching retirement and you're an all-index fund investor who hasn't thought about sequence of returns risk, you've got homework to do. The best strategy is the one that's actually built for your life stage, your tax situation, and yes, your psychology. The hidden costs are real, but so are the hidden benefits. What changes everything is knowing which ones actually apply to you. Here's what I want to ask you in the comments. Just one question. Keep it simple. Are you currently a dividend investor, an index fund investor, or some mix of both? Here's my honest take after all of this. If you are young, still accumulating, and you're choosing dividend stocks in a taxable account because they feel safe, you might be paying a price you can't see yet.
New video every
week.
No fluff.
Just the stuff that actually matters for your money.